And welcome. Give me 1 second. It might be a little awkward for the first 5 or 10 minutes because I'm getting used to recording while my man is in the house. So I'm claiming the domain and I'm getting comfortable in it. It's very interesting to see what it does to my energy body. But I'm getting over this. So, first of all, you guys are just you goddesses are just what are you even? Like the comments I got under the last video were just golden. Like so golden, so deep, so heartfelt, man, like I could feel the love. So thank you so much for that. Um, my heart needed that because I've been doing the work really in the background for the last 5 years, and I'm like, it's time to share these things on a bigger scale than just in my one-on-one sessions. So thank you so much. That meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to that aspect that was still like, is that even important? Like, is it even vital what you have to share? And again, the goddess in me, the empress in me, knows it is. She knows. There's no like confusion. But we're all walking our fragmented parts home. So this was very, very healing for me as well. So thank you so much. That was just like, I really, really freaking cherish that deeply. Like, it means a lot to me. So today's topic is, it's going to be a juicy one again. And what came to me is just friendships the Empress way. Because the way your inner Empress is creating friendships, or the standards of your Empress are high when it comes to friendships. So the way we are approaching friendships, the way we are approaching these relationships has changed a lot from how that version of us 10 years ago approached friendships, or that teenager in us, or that child in us. So there is something so special about that connection between two feminine women. Like when my feminine meets your feminine, there is magic that happens. And it's a relationship that can't be replicated in any other way. Yeah. So even if you're in a same-sex relationship with a woman, it's not quite the same, because in a relationship there has to be polarity. One will automatically, or just not automatically, but naturally adapt a more masculine pole, while the other one will adapt a more feminine pole. In a feminine friendship, yes, there's also space for container where someone holds a masculine space, but there is the divine play between two women, and I have freaking goosebumps just speaking about this, because this is the only container where the feminine in you can meet a feminine mirror. And that is just one of the most delicious freaking experiences in this world. So this is one of the most vital dynamics to heal and to claim, because there is just so much pleasure and joy and honey in this, and that equals wealth. Wealth is an overflow of pleasure, true pleasure. And that means in all areas of our life. And I feel like the feminine friendship is a really untapped resource for a lot of us. If you have that, that is golden. Yeah. But a lot of us are cultivating this, because as we grow, as we evolve, we are coming back to wholeness. And so a lot of wounded dynamics are falling away. And with friendships, it can be interesting because it's not like a relationship where you just break up. Like with friendships, we often drag friendships along because it's just more convenient, or we've gotten used to it. With a relationship, it's almost easier to break up because you live with this person, and if it doesn't fit, it just doesn't fit any longer, and you don't want to live with this person anymore. And it's just like it's an easy and a hard no. With friendships, it can be a little more intricate, especially because you're meeting another woman. Like there are just different parts to that. So this video might shift your whole dynamic around what you desire, what you freaking deserve, what you should require. And that might be a complete paradigm shift that will, of course, be visible in your friendship dynamics and in that new relationship that is in form of a friendship that is coming your way. But it might also just impact every area of your life. Because again, we don't separate. When one area of our life thrives, it's because everything is thriving. If only one area, if you only know how to work one area in your life, you haven't truly embodied the inner work. So this video might be a complete paradigm shift, and it's a freaking honor to be able to share that with you. And I want to start with the don'ts. And I wrote a lot of things down just to like stay on track. Because yeah, in the last 2 days, there were a lot of things that just hit me and that came together like a puzzle piece. And I want to start with the don'ts. So you deserve a reciprocal friendship, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that, what that really means on a deep, deep level. So our first don't is a very confusing behavior. Like to me, it is very confusing. And it took me years to actually get to the root of this energetic. It was really confusing. And it's when that friend of yours, when she's telling you how much they love you, yeah, or they perform actions for you, but something feels off. Okay? They say all the right things. They say all the right things. Oh, they want to support you. They love you. They do this for you, or they perform certain actions. They do certain things for you. Probably also things that you don't necessarily ask for, but something in you feels off. Okay? And it's when this person, and again, that's subconscious on they're probably not aware that they're doing this. Okay? So they're doing all of these things just so that the fragment within feels acknowledged and is feeding off of your validation. Okay? So they are still, to a certain degree, their heart chakra is still collapsed. Anytime our heart chakra is still working with distorted geometries, something will look for acknowledgement or validation. When our heart chakra is healed, we don't give a fuck. Like, why do I stop when I ended up swearing? I love swearing. Sorry. And I know the YouTube algorithm will work with me. They're like, yeah, it fits. We'll make that work. And not in a sense of like, I don't care about anyone. I care deeply, but I don't give a shit. If you like me or you don't, I'm good. Like, I learned how to be by myself and be my own best friend. At this point, I don't need anyone's validation. Now, that was different 10 years ago, but a lot of us still carry that. Like, please love me. Please show me that I'm lovable. And if your friend or that person in the past who used to be your friend is carrying that, they might say or do all of the right things, and they might do all these loving things for you, or seemingly putting you first and all of this stuff. But what it actually is that fragmented aspect within them that is feeding off your validation. And this why this whole dynamic will feel off to you. Because even though you might not be consciously be able to put that into words, your body knows what's going on. And your body's like, yo, this is confusing. Yes, this person is saying they love me, or they're saying the right things, or they're superficially showing me support, or they're performing all of these actions, but something feels off. And so we will find that in a lot of women, or a lot of uninitiated women. And again, that's a journey. My heart wasn't healed within a day, or these distorted geometries around our heart chakra. It's almost like a prison for our heart. That's how it feels. So these shackles, they don't leave within a day. That takes deep inner work, and it takes experiences. It takes immense self-love, and self-love is deep. I don't want to get into this topic. That's something for another day. Self-love is deep work. So I get it, been there, done that. You at this point no longer need to have these people in your intimate circle. These are don'ts at this point in time. And the reason why they perform these loving actions, but you don't feel love, is because this isn't love. And it's actually abusive. It's especially abusive when they claim that they love you so much, but these actions they're lying, because this isn't true love. That doesn't mean that in the depth of their heart they don't love you. They probably do, very much so. But this overlay or this lie, you can feel it. So it's their job to learn what true love really means, and that starts with them. There is no reciprocity in a friendship where one hasn't learned to nourish themselves first and to fill their own cup. There will always be weirdness, and that's the basic for our path to the Empress. The basic step is, I know who the fuck I am, and I know how to love the fuck out of myself, and I don't need anyone's validation. And if your friends aren't on that level yet, they're not your reciprocal. And that's why their love will never feel true. Because true love only comes from a person that doesn't need anything from you, that doesn't need your validation. They can actually give. This other stuff is giving, but expecting something way bigger in return. It's almost like, yeah, I'll do all these nice things for you, but in return, I need a piece of your soul. Like, literally, that's how it feels like. So again, they don't do that consciously. It is subconscious, and yet it is highly selfish, it's fractured, and it's immature. And if you've done the work, my love, you deserve someone next to you who is with you on that level. And if right now you are detecting these patterns on your end, that's cool, boo. It's all right. Observe yourself. Maybe you've been the one doing that to a friend, okay? You've been doing all of these loving things, but actually you just want their validation, and that hurt part, that hurt inner child, or whatever fragment that is. Again, fragments will be a topic for another day. Maybe that fragment is just looking to receive something from outside. If you are catching yourself right now, wow, props to you. Okay? That's all right. We've all been there. We've all done that to a certain degree. So I want to give you just a little tangible example because I learn the best when I hear tangible examples. So I want to give that to you. And it took me actually a really, really long time to detect this pattern. It took me so much that life had to send me two people to be able to detect it. And the first time I felt it was, I think, 6 or almost 7 years ago when I moved to Bangkok for 8 months. And I went on this, I studied abroad. And a friend from Germany came with me. And without her, I wouldn't have made it. Like, she really helped me to get my bachelor's degree. Like, she was really there for me. Like, I wouldn't have made it without her. So I love this person on an eternal level. And we lived in Bangkok together. We shared a bed in Bangkok. Like, we lived in this beautiful loft in this skyscraper, but it was small. You know, we wanted to save money, and we were getting along. And so at a certain point, a part of me started to get really annoyed with her. And I felt so freaking bad for it. Like, I felt so freaking bad because I'm like, why? Like, she's being so fucking nice and she's so sweet. And why do I feel annoyed with her? Why do I feel angry with her? And at that time, I was processing a lot of things. And I'm someone, I do need alone time. Like, I do have the hermit in my human design. I need alone time to process certain things and recalibrate. So sometimes I would get up and I just wouldn't talk. I would go straight to the gym, or I would like go out on the balcony and breathe and just be with myself and like meditate, for what was meditation back then for me. And like, when I did that for a couple days, there was a part of her that was kind of like, what am I doing wrong? Like, basically, don't you love me anymore? Like, what's going on with you? What's going on with you? And there was really nothing going on with me besides I was processing a lot of things. And she made it a lot about herself when I'm like, yo, we're good. I just need my alone time. That's just me. That's just how I roll. And so then she would start to make me feel bad for this. She would look at me like I'm treating her a certain way. And something in me started to get really aggravated. But I didn't allow myself to get aggravated because I felt so bad, because I'm like, well, why do I feel that way about her? Well, I must be a shitty fucking person. Well, maybe something is intrinsically wrong with me. Well, maybe and she was also this like hobby psychologist. So it was this, she wasn't looking at her actions. It was all about, well, something's wrong with you, Melissa, because I am offering all of this love and you're not taking it and you're not receiving it. So like, there was a lot of pressure because her eyes constantly witnessing me through this lens of, hey, love is here. You're not taking it. You're not receiving it. What's wrong with you? And I was like, yeah, shit, what's wrong with me? And I didn't have that quite figured out. Like, that rested for years. And I was still like in the back of my mind, like, what happened there? What was this dynamic? Why was I angry? Because at a certain point, I then started to push her away because it just got really intrusive for me. And I didn't have the right words to put on it. I didn't really know what was going on. So then I moved to the US. Like, our friendship kind of like fell apart. Still love her dearly. And I would actually love to speak about that to her because she's highly intelligent. And I'm sure that a part of her now would absolutely get it. But then life sent me literally a very similar dynamic. And I'm going so deep into my personal examples because that might be life changing for you. If you have a person like that around, or there's a certain dynamic, this might be life changing. So I'm taking a little extra time to just explain that from my personal examples because I know it'll help someone. So the second time, a really, really good friend from Germany came to visit me. And last year it was Sedona Starseed. That was our first in-person event. And it was the first time I organized an event of that caliber, with that amount of people. That was very expansive for me. And it was also the first time that I spoke on stage in front of so many people. So, anytime you are stepping into a new embodiment, an old version of you has to die. So even though we can call in more grace, it will always be expansive, and expansion might not be super comfortable for the nervous system. So this whole thing was very wild for me. It was just a really big manifestation coming into being. And to see that, it just required a whole new person. And so at the event, I was really very much so busy with that internal process. I was also quite overwhelmed with the amount of pain that people walked in with. So that collective pain body was very intense. And I'm used to one-on-one sessions. So there was a lot of new territory for me. And so I wasn't able to be very present with my friend. Like, I was in my own process. And that triggered, or that's my perspective, it's just the same thing happened. It triggered something in her, and she came in to check on me. But it had the undertone of, I'm asking you how you're doing and if you need anything, but actually I'm just asking you, tell me that you love me. Tell me that you love me. Give me your attention. And so again, that was very confusing again, because the person said all the right things. She was so sweet. She's like, love, can I get you something? Do you need anything? But it came with this energy of, hey, what's wrong with you? Got it? For me, true love would have been her just from the back, like, you got this, you crushing. If you need anything, I'm here, holla at me. But if not, like, you go, girl. That in this moment was love. Or just a silent hug or a silent whisper of like, fuck, I'm proud of you. But her dynamic required some energy from me. There was something that wanted something from me. And again, it took me a while because I was so busy, and I was just there was so much expansion in that moment that I just caught this annoyance again within me. And she's a very deep feeler. So at the end of the first night, she was like, yo, what's going on? Like, why are you annoyed with me? All of these things. And kind of like the same pattern played itself out again. The next day, for me, in order to function right and do all the things, I just had to block her out, because her looking at me constantly like, what is wrong? Tell me what is wrong. What is going on? And nothing was going on. Like, nothing was going on. I was just busy with the event and my internal process with this growth. So my annoyance was just like, okay, now I have to block you out because you're actually disrupting my flow, and this event has priority right now. So at the end of the night, I was trying to hug her and tell her I love her and tell her thank you for the support. But there was something unsaid. And it is exactly that. Her love wasn't unconditional. In fact, it wasn't even true love and care at all. Like, yes, deep down inside it was, but it came with this whole, she literally said the same thing. Hey, you are not able to receive love. You are blocked off. Here I am having so much love for you, and something's wrong with you because you can't receive that love. And it took me literally months to be able to go like, that is absolute and utter bullshit. That what you offered was not love. What you offered was a fragmented aspect of you was looking for my validation. And that when that fragmented aspect didn't get it, I was blamed for this. And that is just there is no ground for this in my reality at this point. There is no anchor point for this in my reality at this point. And there shouldn't be any in yours. And so I have this thing. I will first look within. That's just how I always did. I always blame myself first. That's one of my patterns. So I sat with that for months and like, is that true? Like, is my heart really dead closed off? And at a certain point, I was like, no, it's not. It's fucking not. Like, I am able to receive and I am able to authentically give, and I don't need anything from you. And I know that about me. But it took me a lot of like time to process this and to really understand what was happening there. And so we got really deep on that one topic, but I wanted to make sure that this really lands for everyone, because the fact that I saw this twice in my life in the same exact dynamic. Same what? What did I just say? The same exact dynamic. You got it. That was a sign for me, like, okay, this is major. Like, we have to resolve that. And whew, this is connected to a lack of awareness and codependency. And that is very confusing. That's very confusing. So, if they say all the right things, but there's something going on in your body gets annoyed or gets angry, there's something bigger going on, and your body never lies. So stop telling yourself that you're broken. You're not, my love. Your body knows the truth. And it was interesting because in Bangkok, my ex, who's also like my brother and my best friend, came to visit, and he is very protective of me. So he loves freaking everyone. Like, literally, he's an angel in the flesh, and he loves everyone. He was so annoyed by her, and he couldn't pinpoint what it was, but there was almost like I could feel hate coming from him towards that person. And that is not him. Like, he is legit the coolest person, but and we couldn't put it into words. But his aspect was probably feeling what she did to me on a very energetic level. So he was very protective. So it was so interesting to see now that I understand this dynamic. And again, no blame to any of them. This has nothing to do with perfection on my end. I made my mistakes. I have my own wounding, and it plays out in different ways. But that was always a very confusing pattern to me, because I never demanded someone else's love. And that codependency it doesn't exist in my reality. And this is the next topic I want to get into. Avoid people, avoid friendships that still speak language in which the word abandonment even exists. Okay? In my reality, the word doesn't even exist anymore. I don't use the word abandonment. I don't use the word abandonment issue. I don't use the word abandonment wounds. I don't feel like people could ever abandon me. That's just not even, that doesn't exist in my language, because it doesn't make sense in the first place, And I've experienced this in these friendships, that they felt abandoned. And so if you see that, if you see in other people like a fear of abandonment, stay away. And I will explain why. Again, like, there's a lot of collective wounding that we're all working through. There's a lot of generational wounding. And I know that these abandonment wounds are very common. That doesn't mean you have to allow that into your inner circle, And in fact, you don't even really want that as clients. Like, I worked with people that really believed in this existence of abandonment, and they are the most clingy and the most aggressive clients, like energetically aggressive, because people who live in that paradigm where this word exists, or this concept even exists, which is a faulty concept. But if people accept this faulty concept and they look at life through the glasses of abandonment, they will interpret any of your actions as either living up to their standards and living up to acknowledging the fragmented version, or abandoning them. So it's either or. And in both cases, you will lose. So even in a coaching realm or in a client realm, you're not the freaking Samarita. You don't have to work with anyone. Or you don't have to work with everyone. Some people are not for you. And some people aren't like, yeah, they're just not meant for you. And I had to learn that the hard way with clients, where they expected me to text back. Like they had just like no respect for my time or their time, because that wounding was so big. So when I didn't text back, I would get this big email and all of this. So I'm like, I'm not doing this, not in any arena of my life, not in my work life, not in my relationship, not in my friendship, you know? Like when, I'm not saying it never comes up. Like I'm not saying that in a relationship there aren't little moments, but it's on us to get aware of this and is like, okay, this is pathetic. This is a faulty, it's a faulty concept. That's at the base of it, that's what it is. Because no one can ever abandon you. That is a very weird way to look at life. Like even my dad did not abandon me. I don't use these words. It's a faulty concept. The only person he did abandon was maybe himself. He chose a life without me and my mother in it. Did he choose that consciously? No, it was his subconscious wounding. It was his Peter Pan complex, whatever the fuck it was. But he did not abandon us. It had nothing to do with me or my mother. That wasn't personal. That was his working through his things. And I never looked at this through this lens of abandonment. I was never like truly upset, because this part in me that was always very mature always got it. It always got it. And were there aspects that felt maybe like I wasn't good enough, so he left? Yes, but it doesn't exist any longer, because now I see, well, that was a very faulty concept. And that aspect of me that created that concept just didn't have all the information. At this point, I have all the information, and abandonment does not exist. Everyone is living their own life, and no one could ever abandon me, because I'm not making myself as dependent on other people's love, because I fill my own cup. So therefore, I don't use that word. They chose a path, and they chose maybe a path where you're not in it. Has nothing to do with them abandoning you. So be careful with people who have this particular wounding, or who look at life through this lens. The same goes for people that use the terminology narcissism in their vocabulary. Stay away from these people, okay? Because their reality now has an overlay where they can't see clearly. You know, our eyes are not receptors, they're projectors. And when I now adapt to this concept of narcissism, I will scan life with these glasses on, where I look at everything like, is it abandoning me? Is it abandoning me? Are they a narcissist? And so now there's this weird overlay that doesn't allow them to see reality from just for what it is, and love available at any moment. I choose a reality where there is love available in each and every moment, and with each and every person. I don't need them to act in any way. I will find this in any and every interaction of mine, because that's the lens that I choose to wear. This is your decision. So if these people, out of fear or whatsoever, again, I'm not judging that, you know, there was a relationship where I started to go into this YouTube bender of like narcissists and blah blah blah. And yes, did I see narcissistic traits? Yeah, maybe, but it never felt true to my soul, because, well, that's a term, but what's under that? Like, what's actually happening? Like, I always ask deeper questions, because I wasn't back then satisfied with, oh, he's a narcissist. I'm like, okay, that doesn't resonate. And you know what? I am a shamani. I'm not a psychologist. I work in deeper energetic layers, but I'm not a psychologist. These words were created by human beings. I want to go a layer deeper, but I'm not going to stay in this environment to overanalyze this. Fact is, I don't like the way this person is behaving, I'm out. Like, I don't have to remain in this relationship or in this friendship for another 2 years and look at everything they're doing as like, oh, this is narcissistic and this is narcissistic. Fact is, something's off. I don't like it. I'm out. You know, if I feel like you don't have the awareness to grow and to evolve, I'm out. And so people who just adapted this word into their life, everyone I work with that uses this word, there's something off. There's so much wounding on their end. And it's funny because actually their codependency is making it all about themselves. So they're actually the narcissist. Like, it's hilarious. Okay. So if you're using or overusing this word, or a lot of times people were like, well, if you don't know like what a narcissist is, you've never met one and all of this crap, to be honest. If someone's abusive, go. If someone is playing mind games or psychology games in which they put you down to be above, go. And I know maybe this takes a while. It took me a while. But once I found that out and once I realized, no, you know what? I am not broken. I am not dumb. I am not worthless. I am not ugly. I don't have to stay in this. I am not a whore. I am not a slut. I am not any of these things. You know what? I'm out. Whatever the reasoning is for that, to call it narcissism is okay one way, or maybe they are just so insecure inside that they don't believe they can accept love, so they try to overpower you, whatever it is. But if people throw these words around, if people believe that someone else could abandon them, which is just a weird concept for me, how is that possible? Or people believe that narcissism is all around them, they will find it in you. Okay, so stay away for your own sake, for your own well-being, and for your own health. So with that, do not, and that might sound weird, but do not enter a friendship with the intent to build someone up. Okay? It doesn't matter what great potential you see in them. If they can see their potential and if they're not embodying a huge amount of their potential, do not enter this friendship. Do never, like never enter a friendship with the intent to build someone up. Number one, they're their own damn architect. They can build their own reality and they can build themselves up. They don't need you for that. Okay? Second, you're not their coach and they're not your client. I build up my clients if they deliberately opt into that, if it's consensual, if they invest into this. It's a clear yes. If someone invests money and their energy, that's a clear yes. In that case, I will build them up. I will build with them. I will help them. I will help them to write out the floor plan for their house, okay? Metaphorically speaking. I'm not doing that in a friendship. Because if you enter that, again, you're not entering a reciprocal friendship. Or if you see that pattern in one of your friendships, again, it's not a reciprocal friendship. And the Empress only opts into reciprocal friendships. So you deserve reciprocal friendships. You should require them. And here's the thing, what happens when you do enter a dynamic like that. And again, I had to learn that the hard way. I saw these women and I'm like, you are just magnificent. But they were carrying a lot of wounding. They were still carrying a lot of unresolved wounding in their heart. And so for me, it was just like, man, you are so beautiful on all levels. You are one of the sweetest, purest souls I've ever met. You are a creative genius. You are drop dead gorgeous. Like, for me, it was just like, oh my God, like, why do you believe that about you? And do not ever try to convince someone that they're lovable. It doesn't matter what you see in them. It doesn't matter if you see the ultimate queen bee, the ultimate empress within them. It doesn't matter. If they don't feel lovable, run. Like literally, just go. Because in the end, it will hurt you. And I will get to that why. If they, like, women are powerful creators, okay? Whether it's conscious or subconscious, the creational power of a woman is just endless and infinite. So if she has set up her reality where she is unlovable, she will see that and she will create that. And that is, of course, subconscious. No one creates a conscious reality in which they are unworthy and unlovable. But subconsciously, she created a reality and programmed it in a way where she is unlovable. So that's her domain. That's her territory. That's the program she wrote. Now, you are stepping into her programming, because the fact that she has this program should be that boundary, that sign for you of like, oh, I'm not entering here. Okay, cool. You're freaking amazing. Love you. Hope to see you in a couple of years when you wrote a new program for your reality. But the fact that you are stepping into this program, even though she's not really giving you permission, is a sign that you're now in her domain. So reality now works with her rules. Got it? That's like, when we get that, this is immense. So now her program, you're trying to override her program, but if her, and in some cases, in mild cases, it might happen, with coaching clients who are really ready to evolve, ready to heal, they are stepping into your domain so they can override their programming. You're doing this together. See, this is a conscious decision, and in that case, it'll probably work beautiful. But you stepped into her program, you stepped into her domain, into her video game, if you want. So I don't necessarily like this whole AI metaphors, but they work so well because, yeah, it kind of is like a video game. So if she has that belief system, she is a creator and she will recreate that belief system within you, or not within you, but with you. So her creatorship will create a reality in which you can be the most loving and the most perfect friend. She will create a reality in which you are the bad guy, in which you will abandon her, or in a way where her consciousness can go, see, I told you so. See, I told you so. If she has this underlying program that says, or this underlying virus of I am not lovable, it will nip you in the butt. So stay away. Okay? You cannot convince someone that they're lovable. That's not your job. It's their job. And they're freaking good at that if they decide to do so. So, and then in the end, it will hurt you, because they are living in their own reality where you are the bad guy, and they don't accept that friendship. That's like their love container, their pleasure container, their wealth container isn't set up for that kind of dynamic yet. So their poverty container will kick you out and make you the bad guy. And then you're like, damn, okay, I just opened my heart to that person. Like, not a reciprocal relationship. Don't do it. Like, why would you enter that in the first place, And there might be two reasons. One reason might be really pure and innocent of like, yo, I just see this beautiful, gorgeous woman, and then maybe it's just a lack of experience where you don't know that you can turn someone into loving themselves. It's not working. Or the second option is, which is kind of a little bit of a more twisted way, you don't feel worthy. So you trying or attempting to love yourself into wholeness by loving this other person into wholeness, or attempting to love that person into wholeness. Either way, it's a weird dynamic. Don't do it. Don't do it. Learn how to love yourself and then meet reciprocal energies, okay? And engage in friendships with people who've done that work. Okay, let me see. There are a couple more don'ts before we get to the fun do's. like again, why would you enter that relationship? Because you're not going to be seen in that, and you deserve to be seen. So this is and people who are still in this deeper healing, like, we have this immense compassion because we've also probably walked through deep healing. So we are very familiar with this deep pain, and that nurturing mother of us wants to take someone out of this pain. But you can't. You can't. You went through this pain and you walked out of it because you decided so. You decided that you were ready, but no one was able to force you into readiness for this. So same goes with this person. And when people are still dealing with trauma on that level, or distorted geometries on that level, their nervous system is still in survival mode. So that means that this person doesn't really have anything authentic to give right now. If I am like in survival mode, if my nervous system is still wobbly, if my nervous system isn't stable yet, I can't truly authentically love someone else. I can't truly authentically give to someone else, because when you're in survival, your nervous system, your system will put you first. You're not seeing through a true lens. So don't enter friendships. Don't allow people in that are still in this massive healing process, And again, like this, if someone hasn't learned how to freaking love themselves, and they are stuck in this pattern of, and no one's ever stuck, but if they choose to be in that pattern of I'm loving, they will make you fit into this pattern. People are that powerful. Just because someone isn't aware doesn't mean that their creations aren't powerful. They still are. It might just not be what they would consciously want. Another don't is, do not have people around that when you express sadness or anger or maybe frustration with a certain action or a certain situation, and they get nasty. Like, at this point, I desire my friendships to be graceful, but they are still deep relationships. So, like, maybe at some point our friend will do something that we might not understand immediately, or they will behave in a way that might feel hurtful, or we don't get it. Okay, that might happen. So are you both able to like hold a loving space even if one feels frustration? Like, can you even create that space for authenticity? Okay, that's a big one. And so with that, we're having more no's of like, for me, just like, no, it's not entering my field anymore, is passive aggression. And for that, it's important that you have someone where you can get real with. And like, I remember like with my like friends that feel like family, we don't hold back. Like, if you annoy me, or if there's something that I'm like, I don't get it, why did you just say that, or fuck, that was hurtful, like I can say it straight away, straight to the face. And just like children, we say it, we get real. It might get a little loud. That's just like who I am. That's the way I grew up. Like, I'm just very direct. And it's like this, yeah, shit might get real for a second, but I fucking love you. Like, what was that? Can we talk about that? Or, fuck, I'm angry with you. I don't know why. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, something's off. And so you deserve someone who can speak that truth to you as well, and you can hold space for that. Because if you can't do that, this whole passive aggression might happen where, there's, and we've all been there, like when we were younger, maybe there were friendships where we didn't allowed to speak our truth, or we thought that if we spoke our truth, like, this person would leave. Again, selfish abandonment wounds. It's selfish. You think this person will go, so you don't speak your truth, but then you rather punish them with weird passive aggressive comments. Like, I'm sure we've all been in these relationships, like, especially with women. That's why I loved relationships with men and friendships with men, because you can get real with them. You can get real with them. Like, a very masculine man, it's like it's just fun, because if, like, in my friendships with men, I was just able to like speak to them like a homie, and homies are real, and that's easy for me. So this realm of the fragmented feminine is a weird realm to navigate for me. And anywhere where passive aggressive behavior exists, I opt out. Not allowed in my reality, not allowed in my friendships. Awkwardness, awkward silence, awkward, but like they're saying something through the flower. No, like, F that. Give me the gist of what's going on. Give it to me raw, give it to me real. I'm not interested in anything else. So same for you. And if you detect yourself in these passive aggressive patterns, why? Why do you believe you have the right to punish that person? What was your truth that you haven't been speaking in the past? What led you to passive aggressive behavior? Don't have higher standards. When you catch yourself being passive aggressive, whoa, what happened? That shouldn't be your standard. That shouldn't be allowed, not in your relationships and not in your friendships. I have much higher standards than anyone being passive aggressive with me, or me the other way around, or me feeling like I have to like walk on eggshells because that person can't handle my truth. If that's the case, it's not a vibrational match at this point. Another thing that is just a no for me, and we're going through these no-nos because maybe you haven't established yours yet, or maybe you'll find another one. Inauthenticity. Can't fucking do it. It's even my bottle or my glass jar says it. Authentic. I can't do it. I can't do it any other way. I will never pretend that everything is cool when it's not. I will never pretend with you that, hey, like, no, maybe an old version of me, the new version is like, it doesn't exist. So I can't deal with inauthentic people. If there's a problem, if anything's going on, if an insecurity is coming up, give it to me raw and real. It's that easy. Next, big one, especially on the path that we're walking on. I do not allow anyone in my field that confuses the sacred Empress energy with the energy of an entitled princess. Okay? I wrote that down. The Empress is not an entitled princess. And it's, again, I get it. We weren't properly initiated into royalty, into energetic royalty, into energetic wealth. We weren't properly initiated. I get it. So we're trying to slap on an image, or we're trying now to behave like a real woman. We're trying now to behave like a queen. And in that, I see a lot of women also, like in this, like I see some in the coaching industry, or I don't know if that's even true because I don't know them personally and whatever they're displaying. But an entitled princess is not an empress. Again, big difference. And I will make a separate video on the codes of the empress and what the empress embodiment really is. That's not for today, even though it's a lived transmission through these parts that are already embodied within me. But a lot of women, they switch to this weird entitlement. That is princess behavior. That is spoiled, entitled princess behavior. That's not the Empress. And I do not allow that in my field. So someone who acts from selfish entitlement, someone who believes that people should cater to them, life caters to me, the universe caters to me, but people around me, I don't force them to cater to me. Life provides for me in that sense. Life caters to me, but I don't treat the people around me like they're just NPCs that cater to me. Yeah. So big difference. Big difference. And I saw that behavior in women where I'm like, ooh, big no, I can't respect that. And I can't be friends with someone that I don't respect. So all of these don'ts that I'm listing right now are things that I don't respect. So what are things that you just don't respect? Because you cannot be in a friendship with someone you don't respect. As simple as that. I demand respect for me. Like, I don't even have to demand it. Like, my presence is walking, like, I'm a living embodiment of respect because I respect others, or I'm becoming more and more of that. So if I don't freaking deeply honor you, there's no point in me of being friends with you. Sorry, this truck is driving by. Give me a second. I gotta sip. Okay. Another one of my absolute no's is snobby behavior. Like, bruh, that's my ultimate no-go. My ultimate no-go. And that's like, I see that in like some women, like not at this point, but it's just a no. Like, snobby behavior is weird copied behavior we picked up along the way. And again, that's not how I grew up. That's just not who I am. Because I grew up basically on the other end of it. So I'm just like, that's like, I can't handle it. Because to me, this is just utter weakness coming from a false sense of superiority or whatever the fuck that is. And I'm just not interested. If I see that in another woman, I'm like, I'm just straight up disgusted. Can't do it. So that's a big no for me. A big no is when they haven't embodied their polarities yet. So their masculine is attempting to compete with me or overpower me. Same thing, competition does not exist in my realm. The word doesn't even exist. How could I possibly compete with you? How could I possibly compete with you? It's not possible. The only way I could somehow compete with you if you were an identical twin of mine, going through everything exactly the same way that I did, and then we're engaging in a 1 mile run. That would be a fair competition. All else doesn't really work. Like, we can't really authentically compete with people because we're so different. We're so different. Doesn't work. So that doesn't exist in my reality. It's a word that doesn't exist. Okay, and last one that I wrote down at least is arrogance. Can't do it. I can't deal with arrogance in my life. So if you have friends in your life that tend to get arrogant, either with you or with other people, it's a big no, because what is arrogance? Arrogance is the compensation of feeling unworthy. So when people feel internally unworthy, they try to go into the shell, and then they are arrogant, or they display arrogant behavior. And to me, that's just like, no, can't do it, because it's hard to break through the shell of arrogance. I have that even with some clients, but again, they're opting in for that growth, and they're respecting me enough to listen to what I have to say. So when I see it in them and I call it out, they get it. But with friends, it's the ego gets involved, because it's like, who are you to tell me this? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Because to me, I have very different patterns. Like that is just a very foreign pattern to me. Arrogance is a very foreign pattern. When I feel unworthiness, I get really quiet. I get really for myself. I get really shy, and my inner child will most likely verbalize it. Like I've just always been quite vulnerable like that. Like if I'm going through something, I will share it, even if it means that I'm embarrassing myself. That was just always my way of letting go of that energy. So if like that's also like where my humor comes from. Like that's how I like transmute the energies in the room, and back then I didn't know what I was doing. But when I came into a tense environment, I would start and I would make fun of myself just to kind of alleviate the weirdness. And people would always love that. Like people love when you can make fun of yourself, and then they feel more comfortable. You know, especially as a woman that brings beauty. People get intimidated, people get weird, other women get weird around you. And now I'm not saying to dim your light, like shine your bright ass light, but I also know how to play with the energies. So that back then, that was masterful energy manipulation, and I didn't even know. So I would come in and I would just crack 10 jokes about myself, and kind of like, it was also in a oftentimes a little self-deprecating way, but not, not really. Like it was more so, I don't know why I'm a person, like funny things happen to me, ridiculous things happen to me, and a lot of times I'm just a very like, I'm a fucking cute person. Like sometimes I like stupid shit happens to me, or I'm just yeah. So yeah, just funny things, or I would pee my pants in public places and shit like that because I got shocked and stuff like that. Like, or I would fart in like the most inconvenient moments, like things like that. So I know how to make fun of it because I think it's hilarious. So stuff like that, and I would use that to make other people feel more comfortable. So for me, I don't get arrogant. Like I own my shit, and so when I feel unworthy, I will either like make myself feel comfortable, or I will say it, or I get quiet, but I don't get arrogant. Like I just don't do it. Like that's just not my pattern. Um okay, let's go to the fun stuff. Phew. Let's make this fun. Okay. I have to pee. Can I stop this recording for a second, or will this end if I'm okay? Yeah, no, I can do it. I can do it. It's not like a crazy, like I'm peeing myself in a second. So I got this. Sorry if that was too much information, but that doesn't really exist in my reality either. Okay. So what are the do's? What are the ways of the Empress when it comes to friendship? So what I wrote down is, if I am not utterly enchanted by you, I am not interested in a friendship. And the same goes for you. If you are not utterly enchanted by my being, I don't want your friendship. Like this is again, reciprocal. I want to have so much like desire to cherish your feminine that it's like unreal. Unreal. Like I want to look at you and be like, God, I want to devour this. Like, oh my God, I want to eat you up. Like, look at you. Like, oh my God, and the way you feel. Like, I just want to be enchanted by you. That is how I respect a woman. And if I don't feel that around you, if I don't feel aroused by your existence, I don't want to opt into that friendship. Because every person is my mirror, and I can choose a mirror, and I can choose a mirror in which this person is in their unintegrated masculine, or kind of like living in a very masculine shield. Cool. I could opt into that mirror, and therefore they will probably pull out more of my masculinity. I don't want that. What's exciting to me What's delicious to me is a woman that is a walking goddess, that just like is like water, like luscious. That's fun to me. That's a woman that sparks my creative juices. And that's a woman that will also mirror that within me. So therefore, we're just pulling out the deliciousness in us. And it's like a mirror, like bouncing back and forth. And it's just like multiplied by a million. That's why a female friendship is so sacred and so freaking special. It's a one of a kind connection. Because when two women of that caliber come together, miracles happen, magic happen, manifestations are amplified. Like, it's just nuts. Like, really, it's just incredible to witness that. And so in that, what I require in my relationships now is a woman who loves the living F out of herself. I have high standards, and I want the woman to have high standards. I desire a relationship, a friendship with a woman that has set up her reality to such a way that only the highest caliber of divinity is entering her space. And if I can't make it into her space, I have work to do. But if I make it into her space, it's a sign for her that, ooh, look, only divinity enters my space. So I see you, woman. Okay. That is what you should want. That is what we should desire as the Empress. Okay. So that's a really beautiful one. You know what yeah, I wrote that even down. Surround yourself with people who love the F out of themselves and program their reality as architects in such a way that they expect only the highest caliber of divinity to enter their life. Hence, if you enter, they can actually see you for what you are, which is a match to their high ass standards. I wrote this down because this is a big do. Like, that's what you want. Someone who can actually see you. And if they have set up their reality in this masterful way, they will be able to see you. And so I want to go back to the sexual attraction within friendship, because to me, this is very, very important. Because the feminine, again, this is basically the only container in which your feminine gets to play with another feminine. Because like I said in the beginning of the video, a same-sex relationship is not the same. Because when you enter a relationship, you are also business partners. You maybe raise a family together. You're building a life foundation. So in order to make that container work, there has to be polarity. So someone has to be the masculine pole, someone has to embody the feminine pole, and that can switch. But the truck is here again. But in a feminine friendship, this is the one special container where both can be in their feminine. Like, move, bear cat. Like, why? No, I'm gonna get this transmission across because it's so delicious. And this weird truck that is like apparently correcting our street right now is not gonna mess with that. So this is that one container where your feminine can, bruh. Okay, I'm sure you can still hear me. Maybe it's not as loud in the microphone. So this is the one container where your feminine can be met by another feminine pole. And that is just divinity in play. And so this is what creates this arousal, the sexual magnetism. And I desire that in my friendships because that just makes life more juicy. That doesn't mean we have to act on it. You know, it's more like this, it's a flirtatiousness that is a playfulness with life itself, you know, but it's Like when we're being super flirtatious outside of this container, this could be misunderstood because a lot of people haven't mastered their sexuality or their sexual energies to even the slightest degree. But within this container of this female friendship, we can actually be flirtatious all the time and have it be safe. It's gonna be safe. So this is where you can actually breathe and expand and play and dance. And yes, you can do that in your relationship, but he's the masculine container. So it's going to be different than when two feminine poles are being flirtatious. That's just divinity at play. And that's what I desire in my friendships. So I have to be sexually aroused by you, because sexual arousal is creative arousal. And if I am not inspired by your existence, I don't want that friendship. And you shouldn't want that either. So same goes for me. That doesn't mean that I'm going to ever act on it. Like, that's not what this is about. It's more like this fantasy of like, you are so delicious, woman. Like the things I would do to you. Like that's that energy. It's not ever happening. You know, it's just an eternal fantasy. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to hug you, kiss you, massage you, and like be intimate with you in these ways. But it's not, it's playfulness and it's childlike intimacy. That's what I'm speaking of. Like that delicious feminine, the feminine. It's not threatening. No one's trying to take anything. It's just, I see you. So at this point, you absolutely deserve, and I require that this person is able to see my essence. And someone can only see your essence and your embodiment if they've done the work and if they embody the same thing. So I wrote down the person has to see your essence, your priestess, your empress, the alpha dog within you. She has to see this fierce lioness, the cutie pie chub chub within you, whatever that is, the dope teenager within you, or the awkward teenager within you. She has to see the version of you that is the mother, the eternal empress. And also, she has to be able to perceive that version of you, that quantum leap version of you, that version of you in 20 years from now, that just like magnetized universes. Okay. So interesting timing, man. You got it. That, like, you deserve all of that, and I require all of that because I can see that within you. I can see that in another woman. It's easy for me to see someone deeply and see someone's potential, because I the way I render my reality is through from a very deep energetic place. And maybe that's my Pisces or my moon in Pisces. Whatever it is, I process, like, I'm usually quite quiet when I'm by myself, and I process reality from a very deep energetic place. Like I call it the womb of creation. A lot of times I process my reality from this womb space. So I see very deep and I see very multi-layered. So you deserve and you should require to be seen. And the same goes for me. At this point, I require to be seen. And in the past years, because I had this massive transition where I left Germany, so I left all of my childhood friends kind of where they are, and they're great. You know, they are real. I have fun with them. Like, I can chill on the couch with them. So they taught me real love and they taught me real friendship. But what they were missing was that ambition and that desire for ascension, that desire for growth, that desire for evolution. So they brought that realness, that real love, but that family aspect, but they were missing this growth mindedness, or this knowing that their soul is here for a mission, you know. So moving to the US, I was kind of like experimenting or seeing new people coming in and new friendships coming in. And I just, sorry if this is annoying, like I don't know how loud it is. So one example I had recently was I was surrounded by someone who was doing sound healing at our event, and I was hanging out with her. We were actually at this beautiful like charity event in which all of the profits were contributed to the Underground Railroad project. So I was there with her, and that's what actually inspired me to do that for our event too. So, and I sat next to her, and there was a lot of talk about healing and trauma healing, and I recognized that before, that she was kind of speaking to me as if I was a client that has never heard about trauma healing or inner child healing or any of that. And so she like kept making these comments, or she spoke to me like I'm one of her clients that is just completely new to the game. And she said something like, you know what? Apparently, like I recently heard that we've entered the golden age. And a part of me went like, yeah, duh. Like, of course, why are we sitting here? So she gave me this information as if I'm totally new to all of this. And it was innocent, but it was, and I'm like, is this my ego? Like, why am I reacting that way? Like, why is my body reacting that way? Why is this bothering me? But when I sat with that, I was like, no, it's not my ego. It's my essence. And the person isn't at the same level of maturity that I am, because when I see you, I see you. And I'm not going to lecture you on trauma healing or coaching because I fucking see you, my Empress. We're on the same level. I'm not going to speak to you like you're a client that just entered that. And even with my clients, I still I explain concepts to them, but I see them as my equal already, in that sense that I know their energetic potential. But it was just this weirdness of where these interactions showed me that she couldn't fully see me. She couldn't see the inner work I've done. She couldn't see the embodiment that I already am. So there was kind of this like, I don't feel a connection with you, because that's the whole point. A reciprocal friendship allows you the deepest intimate connection with another woman. That's why it's so important. Reciprocal friendships allow you the deepest intimacy possible in a friendship. If the person doesn't see you, doesn't see your essence, can't like address that quantum leap version of you in 20 years from now, then it's pointless to build with this person. And you won't have that intimacy because the person can't see all of the aspects within you. A reason why there is so much intimacy in my romantic relationship with my man is because he can actually see the eternal essence of my being. He can see the parts beyond time and space. He can see multidimensional layers of my being. Like he sees my power on infinite levels. And that is what allows for true intimacy. So same in a friendship. We want reciprocal friendships so we can experience intimacy in our relationship and of that friendship and true connection with this other woman. And if she just hasn't walked the walk you walked, if she isn't eye to eye with you because she just hasn't embodied certain things yet and she can't see you, it's not reciprocal. So these are the things I require. There was so much gold in these last hour and almost a half. So again, sexual arousal is a must for me. And it should be for you because that's what makes life spicy and beautiful and colorful. And it's what inspires us. And it's what gets these creative juices flowing. If I don't feel that with you, we're not going to have a good time. And I'm in for a good time. I'm in for a magnetic time. Okay, now I started to yell. It's a beautiful time to close off this topic. What a freaking amazing, incredible video. Like literally such a beautiful topic, because this is the next level This is the next quantum leap. If we only allow friendships like this into our life, this is the next level quantum leap. This is wealth and wealth. Sorry, the TH. This is wealth embodied in form of friendships. So I love you so much. Oh, wait, it's here. Find me for sessions if you're interested in quantum healing sessions. SedonaGoddess.com is where you can book the quantum healing sessions, or where you can get in touch with me for a deeper layer of work. So, own it. Own it. What you desire is what you from now on require, okay? What you desire is what you from now on require. So don't let anyone else into your field, and gracefully remove anything else that doesn't fit into that. What you desire is what you from now on require. So you deserve reciprocal friendships. You do. Absolutely. And see what will blossom from there. Because a woman, another mirror of you, of your caliber, invited into your life, will magnetize wealth, will magnetize beauty, will magnetize abundance. Like, this is when two women of this caliber met and deeply engage in a friendship. Like, this is not just like doubling. This is like quadruple millioning. That is not a word, but that's what it does. Like, the energy of wealth will be freaking millionized. So you deserve that. I love you.